Ah.
DJ SHOWOFF.
Oh, yeah. What's good, everybody? It's the phenomenal DJ SHOWOFF. And you are now tuned in to We Rock Together. And I've got one of the most sought after guests of all time.
Aww.
She is an actress, a model in her own right, author, and a producer. I give you BernNadette Stanis, aka Thelma Evans. How are you tonight?
Oh, thank you. I'm fine, thanks.
And a producer.
Yes, I'm doing great. Thank you. I can't hear you.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Wow. I don't even know where to start. First, let me say it is a pleasure to have you here, and that you have been the standard for a lot of Black teenage women growing up.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the reason I say that is a lot of women of color back in the days did not, feel proud of themselves, their hair, the way they dress. But when you threw that hip and the afro and put it up into that little bun, it seemed like every girl after that was like, you can't tell me nothing.
Yeah, I used to wear my little pom-poms and hair bun and afro. Man, those were the good old days.
Now,
bell bottoms and,
And you look good in them.
Oh, thank you.
Look. I know you married, but sorry, Kevin, but I had a crush on her too,
Oh, he doesn't mind any of that, No.
It comes with the territory now. He's like, look, baby, I know. I can't even say nothing about that.
Yes, I have great fans. I just enjoy my fans so much because, when I go out on my book tours and things like that, I always get support no matter what. They always give me my respect, my support. And it's just, they're making my life very, very fulfilling and very happy.
Well, that's what it's supposed to be. Like I said, you've given the world so much of yourself as a teenager and into your adulthood, because a lot of people don't realize you were a teen going into your adulthood while playing on Good Times.
Yeah.
So you kind of grew up, and we grew up with you.
Yes. And I've always been with Thelma as an adult. As an adult, I've always had Thelma with me.
So how was that juggling Thelma and BernNadette, trying to keep those two separate and still make a connection with the audience?
Well, a lot of Thelma came out of me. Estero made sure of that because they really didn't know really what to write for Thelma because they had no concept of a girl in the projects and all. And being that, I'm from Brownsville, so I knew her very well. And so Esther made me go up to the producers and the writers and let them know who Thelma was. So, it wasn't very hard for me to distinguish the two because she had a lot of qualities that I wanted to bring that, I grew up with. I was like trying to be the peacemaker, trying to be the good girl, trying to be the smart girl, trying to do it right, loving my parents and, beating up my brothers, just the good stuff. And I just had no problem with that. And my character was very positive and people respected it and they loved her. So I always had good vibes about it. So it never bothered me. And then, a lot of people say, well, actors and actresses, they don't want to be identified with their character or they don't want you to call them by the character's name. But you know what? That never, ever bothered me.
Okay. A lot of people, don't understand the acting business. A lot of this comes with your job to be able to juggle how, acting and real life is. How was that for you to be able to juggle those two pieces in your life? Like, okay, I know this is my acting life. Okay, this is my real life. I got to get back to Brooklyn and be this girl.
That's so funny because I learned that at Juilliard. You learn that at Juilliard. You learn how to bring your character in focus and be that person. And then when you're off that stage, they teach you how to come out of it because you definitely have to bring yourself to it. And then you have to ease out of it also, and I could, all these years now, I can do the Thelma thing and I could do BernNadette thing like that. It's just,
Since you said that, what was the worst pickup line you ever heard at being Thelma? Like, a guy seen you and I'm like, oh, that's Thelma. Hey, yo, and blah, blah.
Wait a minute. You mean like, not on the show?
Yeah, like they seen you and be like, oh, that's Thelma. I'm going to go rap to her.
Yeah, well, I didn't have too many bad pickup lines. They just, the worst thing was that, you're Thelma, can we have a dance? Or, they and if it was at a club, so, can we have a dance? And they hang around me, but they're really just hanging around Thelma. You know what I'm saying? Would you like me if I wasn't Thelma? Maybe. I don't know. But I knew there was a Thelma thing. So, I gave him a break.
See, I wouldn't even be mad. I'll be like this. A dance, I'm good. I can go home. I can talk about this for the rest of my life. Tell my friends. And then, even back then, your friends be like, you ain't dance with no Thelma. You lying. You don't even know her.
They have said that to them too. They told me that. And so people say, oh no, you lie. I know you lying. But I'm really a very, very I'm a quiet person. You would not know that. I like to read. I like to write. I do all that poetry stuff. But I enjoy dancing. Dancing has been the centerpiece of my life. I was a dancer way before acting.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up dancing at 5 years old. So, I dance. So I'm glad they asked me to dance because I'm ready.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Well, from both parents, but my dad always told me, I remember I was 16 and I was combing my hair and I was fixing them, I was doing something. And he looked at me and he said, just remember something, always be true to your heart. He used to speak like that. Like he would like say 1 word, 3 words and keep going. I'm like, what? Be what? He said, always be true to your heart. And I think he told me that because, parents really know who their children are. We don't know that they know that, but they know. And so I think that he recognized that I had a very soft heart, I had a very loving, giving heart. And I think he wanted me to be true to myself instead of just, feeling more for the other person than myself.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna throw you one that's gonna be way out there, but you're gonna love it. Trust me.
Okay.
If there was a sandwich named after you, what would it be called?
Wow. That's out there. Okay. A sandwich. Let me see. You're gonna have to help me with this one. Well, I can't say a bologna sandwich because I'm not full of bologna. I would say a pastrami sandwich.
A pastrami sandwich, a little spicy, but just right.
Just right. Yes, pastrami, kind of strong, tender, kind of thing, spicy, tastes good, whatever.
Now, I was going through some old footage and going through a couple of things on Good Times, and I didn't realize that Thelma had a middle name.
Mm-hmm.
Now, nobody ever, I don't know if anyone ever asked you that.
Well,
how did they even fit that in?
I don't know, but they said it one day. They said Thelma Ann Evans, right? Born June 1957. That's what they said.
And could I ask people, I was like, because I did a trivia, I was like, what's Thelma's middle name? People was like, she got a middle name?
Because they only said it once or twice on there. That's when I found out I had a middle name too. Anyway, yeah, Thelma Ann. Thelma Ann. Ann. It's a nice name. It's just
but it's just like our parents growing up where it was like Marie Ann Marie. You be like, why you got two middle names or Leslie Ann Marie? You like, what happened?
It went around in a circle because like one of my daughters have four names, and she's like, what? Why'd you name me with four names? She hates it. But the three name thing. But I only had two names. My name is BernNadette Stanis. Now that's enough name right there.
Okay.
So at 5 years old, when I had to go to kindergarten, I had to learn those two long names. That was really unfair.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's all right because we had to cut it down to Stanis on the show because it was so long that it didn't fit on the credits. Now, today we can make it fit, but back then, I guess it just had to be right square. They couldn't do it. So they asked me to change my name, and I'm not changing my name, but cut it down. So I went to Esther Roll. I used to call her mom on the show. I say, hey, Mom, they want me to cut my name down. Where am I going to cut this name down to? What? So she looked at it and she said, cut it right here. So the name is Stanislaus. So the lost part was lost. Stanislaus. So now it's Stanis.
Well, it still fits you no matter what.
Thank you.
How was it growing up and being with the actors and becoming more family than just acting together?
That's wonderful that we really were family. It was the most amazing thing to see because we're all so different in everything. I mean, Jimmy was in another world. Esther was, older. I was young. So it was really good. But when we walked on that stage, we were that family. And I learned a lot from watching Esther Roll and John Amos and Ralph Carter. I learned a lot from them because they were really thespians and they were all, working a lot before Good Times. So they were very seasoned. Okay. Now myself, Good Times was my very first professional job. So I walked in there and I was ready for them now. I didn't say I wasn't ready. I studied and everything and I felt like I knew my little stuff. But when it came to the whole how to handle it and what stars really do. I had to watch them, and I would watch them, and I said, oh wow. They you know, when break time is break time, and when it's time to work, they're right back into character. I said, boy, that's phenomenal. And I start following suit and doing the same thing.
Okay, okay. There's definitely nothing wrong with that. You learned from some of the best. Now, what was life after Good Times?
That was very interesting too, because you know, actually, being on Good Times felt like an institution. It literally felt like we were in a bubble for 5 years. And so, you know, when I got off Good Times, I had all this time on my hands because we would work a 10 to 5 every day. Then on Thursdays, we'd go in and we do the show for two shows to last till 12 at night. And then Fridays, we'd go in and reread. So this went on and on and on for 5 years. So by the time that was over, I got up one morning and said, my goodness, what am I going to do? Like, this doesn't feel right. So it actually felt like being in an institution and then being let out. So I was really funny one day. I was watching television and I was talking to my mother and I said, Mom, what do people really do? I mean, every day, you know, as a grown up, I mean, you know, I'm grown up now. When I left home, I was, you know, a teenager. So I'm grown. What do we? And I said, you know, I'm looking at television a lot and da 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 da. She said, well, that's what people do. I said, oh, that's what they do. Okay, good. Okay. That's what I do. Watch television, went out, traveled, wrote a lot of poetry. You know, I had my home to myself, basically. So you know, nobody disturbed me. I was just, you know, and it was just a lovely time in my life. Very lovely.
Okay, you spoke of your mother just now, and I know you wrote a book. I think it was dedicated to your mother. Tell us more about that.
It's called The Last Night. That's the last book I wrote. And it was dedicated to her because I had written 2 books before that. And when I was touring with the first book, Situations 101 Relationships, I had news that my mother had Alzheimer's. And I, you know, definitely took my mom in to take care of her. So I would dress her up and travel. She traveled with me for many years. And so one day she was sitting next to me, but people always asked her, they always asked her, well, how did you get your daughter to Good Times? And what was it like having a daughter on Good Times? And what did you teach her? And all these questions. And so mommy would answer them. She would answer them. But then as the time went on, you know, Alzheimer's was coming in a little more. So she couldn't quite answer the way she should, you know, should have. That's my dog. So then I said, okay, mommy. I said, I think it would be so wonderful if you had a book about your life and you could sit right next to me and you and I could sell our books together. And she said she would love that. And then I said, would you like the color light blue? Because that's your color. And she said, I would love that. But as soon as we said that, it looked like Alzheimer's started to speed up. And I couldn't think about writing a sentence. I was trying to keep my mother alive. So when it all happened, when you know, the very last night of her life, when I knew it was time for her to transition, I was talking to her and I said to her, one of the things that I did say to her was this. I said, Mommy, it's not over yet, because it's not. And I literally felt as if my mother transitioned and she never really died. I mean, the body died, but her spirit never really died. And that's how I feel. I feel my mother all the time. You know, it's just like it's very interesting to me. So that's why I said, you know, I started that night to write the book, and the book was going to be called The Last Night.
Okay.
Yeah, and I started out with a prayer, and I just kept going, and I wanted to show the world who she was as a mother, a woman, a phenomenal mother at that. She had 5 children. I'm the eldest of 5, And my dad was, of course, was a wonderful dad. And I wanted to talk about what I thought Alzheimer's was and my little impression of it. I know my father was murdered when she was 59, and that took a big toll on her. And so by the time she was 66, she had Parkinson's. And then from Parkinson's, it went into Alzheimer's. So I always mention that because seems like a lot of people who go into a shock, something that shocks them at a certain age when they get older, sometimes they flip. They don't really grasp it, and it kind of throws the brain off. I feel that way. So I had to write this book with a lot of different things going on in it, how I felt about it, how when you hear something like that, how you deny it at first, because there are like 5 stages or 7 stages of grieving. And I think I went through all of them. But to recognize that this is a disease that is incurable is one very hard thing. So, I always asked God, I said, I believe very strongly in God. And I asked one night, I was just torn apart. And I said, why this lady? Why my mother? I mean, she's such a good woman and she sacrificed and she did so much for us. And it wasn't until a couple of years later, after she had passed, that the answer came to me that my mother was like, she would have been hurt or afraid if she had known she was dying.
Okay.
So I think that because it was about her story and not mine at the time, God said, she's my child and I'm not going to let her suffer. I'm going to let her forget that she's dying. My mother lived every single day happy and wonderful. So in a way, it was her special gift.
Well, that's a blessing, that, like I tell people, every day above ground is a blessing, but every day to spend time with someone that you love before they transition is a bigger blessing.
Yes, yes. And I have truly been blessed by that.
Now, would you consider your greatest achievement your girls?
Yeah. It's real, interesting having girls. I'm
Oh,
sure
trust me, I know. I have 3 of them. Trust me, I know.
And the funny thing about what I love about girls, because I'm a girly girl kind of thing, and what I really did love was I loved when they were little, I to comb their hair and dress them up and put bows. I was a mess. I was one of the mess mothers, let me tell you. And so now if I had a son, my poor son, he just, I couldn't do that. So you know what I'm saying? So I always said, well, I want more girls than boys, but I only end up having 2. But if I had 3, I'm sure I would want that boy. But I had 2, and I just dressed them up. I remember my little baby girl. I had all these clothes and bows and all these things, and I would take her and dress her all day long and take pictures. I have boxes and boxes of pictures of her, and it's like she just sat there, and I just dressed her. I said she would smile, and I would take pictures. It was awful. I felt bad for the kids, but I was gonna get the most out of doing hair, putting bows, little frilly socks. I just love all that. And now I have a granddaughter who's 5, and I do
Okay.
the same thing. She
Let's
don't
see.
like combing her hair too much, but I do it anyway. And I say, now you got to be strong because I did it for your mother and I did it for your aunt. Now you just be strong and let me take care of you, okay? And she says, okay. Am I being strong? I said, you're being very strong. I'm so proud of you.
Yes.
I have my little ways,
See, that's precious, that you're still doing what your mother did for you with your own kids and your grandkids.
Yep.
See, people don't realize that essence follows and keeps following.
Yes.
Even though people don't sometimes say, be like, oh, I'm not like my mother. And they're like, did I just do what my mama used to do to me? Like,
as they get older, they do. Yes. And, and even your grown kids, they don't know your life before they were born. So they only know what they can remember from 6, 7, 8, But so then when you tell them certain things about things, they're so surprised. They're like, yeah, you did that. You went through that. Oh, So it's very good for us to tell our children who we are.
well,
Who we are before they were born, so that they can.
Well, isn't that what our ancestors used to do? They used to tell those stories so it can go from generation to generation.
They did tell stories because I had one aunt that I wouldn't know anything about my great grandmother unless she told me. She used to say that my grandmother, her name, they used to call her Cora Mack, and she would go by the bayou in Louisiana, and she was a tall, thin, brown-skinned lady, and she would stand up tall, and she had and her legs would go back, like she had hyperextended legs, and she would go and then she would pull out that pipe and start smoking, and I'm like, what? Yes, and they just tell me little things that was so cute. I keep that in the back of my mind.
Now,
yeah.
And I know a couple of people want to know, when it comes to desserts, foods, what is your guilty pleasure? Like, what's that one thing you like? I want to have that when you're in New York. Like, I got to go to such and such and get this.
I like to go to Junior's to get the cheesecake. Okay. But I used to be I used to like the blow pops, I used to like to bite them and get them. And so until I chipped one of my tooth back then, and I said, that's the end of the blow pops. Let me get this toothpick, honey, because I'm not losing my teeth now. I love candy, but not that much. So then I cut out the candy thing. And so I'll do the cheesecake with the strawberry stuff on it. That I'll do, but I'm not a cake person. I'm not a pie person. I don't eat cakes or pies. My father didn't either. And if anything, it'll be cheesecake. Okay. I do like that, and I like popcorn. And I like popcorn because that reminds me of every Friday. That's in my book too. Every Friday, Mommy and I, she would take just me, and we would go see a movie, and we would have buttered popcorn and almond joys.
Ooh.
And to this day, when I wrote the book, someone bought the book, right? And every Christmas, and I am not lying, every Christmas, she sends me this huge box of popcorn and almond joys. And I eat them too.
If you like popcorn, you need to check out this site called Savannah Sweets.
Okay. Savannah Sweets. Let me write that down.
You'll definitely love that popcorn. They do all the old style candies.
Really? Oh man, I remember those old candies. The Mary Janes. Remember
they even make bear claws by hand. All that good stuff.
Oh man! And you know what else I used to like? The shoestrings. You know those shoestrings?
Oh yes.
You know what we used to do as kids? We get the 3 strings and braid them.
There you go.
Roll it up.
See, I think that's what Twizzler got there to look from, like, that looks kind of good there.
Yeah, I remember that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in Catholic school, I think this is terrible though. In Catholic school, they used to have recess, and the nuns used to sell all this candy I think they would sell this candy every day. I guess that was their little candy, their little money or whatever it was. So the kids would always have their little nickel piece. Back then it was a little dime, nickel. That was it. Penny candies. And then every day my mom would have to give us 10 cents each so I could have 5 candies in the morning and 5 candies at recess in the afternoon. And she had to do that with all her kids. That's what Catholic school is about. We have recess, eat some candy.
So how was it growing up with brothers and sisters, being the oldest one?
Well,
You know, it's kind of like the Waynes. How was it being how was it being having so many brothers and sisters and dealing with them and they're different, you know?
Yes. Well, being that I was the oldest, I was like their second little mom, you know, like I would always take care of them, treat them like they're my kids. And my mom was, and they look at me like, what's wrong with you? You're my sister, you my brother, get away from me. So I would always take care of them. I remember that. I put that in the book too. I was 9 years old and I took care of both my brothers for the summer. But my mom did it over the phone. Like when, yeah. She'd go to work. She would call me. She could be work at 9 o'clock. So 9 o'clock, the boys were ready up. They would get their little cereal. Then at 10 o'clock, we could go downstairs and play in the little park. At about 12 o'clock, we had to come back upstairs. I had to call my mom and say, Mom, we're back upstairs. And then she would have the tuna and whatever we're going to have for lunch. And then she says, okay, now let them watch television from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And then you guys can go back downstairs and I'll be home at about 5:30. We did that every single day for the summer.
So since you said that, now I know back in the days we had the karate flicks at 3 o'clock. Did you stay in the house? You and your brothers and sisters stay in the house to watch the karate flicks on Saturday afternoon after Soul Train?
Well, they did. I didn't like to watch that. That wasn't my thing. I was watching the Soul Train, you know, trying to get the dances down, you know, trying to go down, watching the styles, you know, so I get my fro right, and then my bell bottoms, everything like that. That's what I was doing. No, I didn't follow the karate thing. You know, I was a dancer, so.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, since you've been traveling the world and everybody loves you.
Thank you.
If you were stuck on a 10-hour flight, who would you want to be stuck next to, sitting next to you for 10 hours?
Are you really asking me that?
Oh, come on. I want to know. Because if it ain't me, I'm upset already.
It's you. It's you. It's you. It's you. DJ show off, baby. No, well, you know, I think I would like to be stuck on, like, sitting right next to me, first class, whatever, next to Denzel Washington.
I can see that I can see that as a fun ride all the way through. I can see you two laughing all the way through the flight. People looking at you like, why they got to be up in front laughing like that?
Well, they will know who he is for sure. But me, I probably wouldn't, because I probably have a hat on, you know, and carry on. But I think that would be a wonderful, wonderful flight.
Now, since you are an actress, if you could star with anybody and even do a remake of a movie, what movie and who would you star in it with?
Common Jones, maybe. I would like to do that one. And there's so many good actors. Well, let's keep it on the roll. Do it with Denzel. Hey, I'm gonna drink some water right now.
I think I'm gonna have to reach out to Denzel and be like, I know a young lady who ready to get down and do a role with you.
Do a role. That's right. Do a role. I would love to do a role with him. Yeah, I would.
So tell us about all your books. You know,
Well, I have the relationship book, which is really good. It's a good book. I'm thinking about writing part 2 now, because things have really progressed in a negative way, but it has. And so that's the one book. And then as I was traveling with that book, I realized that finances was a very big part of why people didn't get along, or why people broke up, or different things like that. So I said, I'm going to write a book on the finances. And I did. and it's called Situations 101 Finances, and it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I wrote about, just everyday common stuff that people go through, and my little suggestions on how they could, well, I had a little help with that financial part, but some things that they could do to help themselves stay out of debt with credit cards, especially when you go to college. You have good credit, so they give you all these cards, and you forget that you got to pay them cards back. See.
Yes,
And see,
yes.
that's how those young people lose their credit. So I talk about all kind of good stuff like that. Yeah, I do. And then the last book I wrote was my mama's book, But I did want to do, I wanted to do a fiction book. I haven't been able to do that yet because I've been on tour so much with those other books and doing a lot of speaking engagements because of Alzheimer's and different organizations for women. I love to talk to young girls and women, and they ask me all kind of questions about survival and in the business and how do you do it and how was it and things like that.
Okay, okay. So how was it? How was pandemic life? I'll put it that way because that's all it was. How was pandemic life with the family at home and everybody just home?
Well, it was a time where I had to sit my daughters down, and because they were like, what? I can't understand. And I said, this is a time, this is where Brownsville kicked in, baby. I said, there are times in lives and in people's lives, and now is a time where you have to learn to survive. You have to be centered, you have to pray, and you have to be calm. Because if there is a tornado and you're in the eye of the tornado, you will not get hit. It would not touch you. So I said, now we have to get calm and get into the eye of this storm. Now, what you do is you learn how to cook for yourself. You stay home. You have to teach your child. You have to work with your daughter. This is the time for discipline. This is the time to teach your baby how to behave, and how to study on her own, because they have the computers now with the kids, and little kids don't understand it, and they're talking about the grandmothers and the grandfathers while the teacher's trying to teach them ABCs. Is a mess. So I said, you have to take it upon yourself, to my older daughter, and you have to teach her. You have to have patience. See, this is teaching us how to live simply, how to live like maybe people lived years ago, and not to be overwhelmed, because we are all going through something. You're not the only one. And you will have to change your habits. I mean, you won't be able to just go to the party and hang out with this dude or that guy or that girl or hang out. You can't do it anymore for a while. Not forever, but until we get a handle on this thing. So I told them that. And I told them about learning how to survive it. And that's what it is. And I have to, constantly tell them. Every once in a while they get a little frustrated about the game, and I keep talking to them, and I say, I'm not going anywhere too many places or something, but what this makes me do is sit down. There are a lot of books that I have wanted to read, and I'm going to. There are a couple of paintings that I want to finish, and I'm going to. And there's some writing things that I want to do, and I'm doing that too. So I said, so go within yourself and find out the things that you always wanted to do that you never had time to. So now you got time.
Okay, okay. So while you were still on pandemic mode, as they would call it, did you actually get a chance to also catch up on some of your shows that you wanted to catch up on? I know a lot of people would be like, TV wasn't my thing, but then some people like, I had to catch up on this and I had to catch up on that.
Yeah, because see, you have to kind of schedule it out, because if you don't, then you're a mess, because all day you can watch TV all day, then at night you're bored because you can't watch TV. Yeah. So you get up. I told them, you get up, you get dressed, you go, you walk, you do a little exercise, You go, you know what I'm saying? You make your best coffee, have coffee, just, get on the phone, call your friends, keep it social, or do your Zooming thing or whatever, and then schedule it out. Do your dinner, how you going to cook your dinner, do your dinners, and, what shows you're going to watch tonight. Hey. And that's how I caught up on a lot of shows. But you know what? It was really interesting. My daughter was watching a show called Schitt's Creek, right? And she was telling me about it. And she said, "Oh, mommy, it is so funny. These people were actors, these were actresses, and they got broke and they bought this raggedy hotel." And I thought that was so fun. She said, "You have to see it. It's really funny." So I said, "Oh, yeah, okay." So finally one day I did sit down and I watched it. And it was really good. I mean, the actors were really, really good. And I understand why they won so many awards. But the name is just too cute. Schitt's Creek. Because maybe they were up in that Schitt's Creek too. It was great. It was a great concept. It was great. Yeah.
So what are you working on nowadays? Is there any more acting coming up? Hopefully after all this has faded somewhat.
Yes. So when the pandemic, when the virus looked like it was going down, it had gone down for a minute in Los Angeles. So I was asked to do a movie, a short, and I did do that. They were very protective. Nobody got sick or anything, so I did do that. It was it was really cute. I was an actress. The part that I had was an actress. It's called Dreams from the Edge.
Okay.
And I was an actress, and my daughter was an upcoming actress. And I was beat down by my mother in the show. My mother didn't think I could act, and she wouldn't let me act. And so I was very resentful of the daughter, who was really good. And I was treating her the same way my mother had treated me. So she was a sweet girl, and she said, "Mom, why? Why do you treat me like this?" And then I told her, about my experience with my mother on the show. I mean, and in the show. And then she came over to me and she hugged me and she kind of understood. She had empathy for my story, And when she went back out to an audition, they needed an actress, an older actress, to do something. And she said, I have the person for you. And so they hired me to do the part, and I was back.
All right.
It's the cutest show, and it's going to be they're going to do it at the festivals this year. And it was her name is Erica, and she wrote a very beautiful part for me. So I'm excited about it. We'll see what happens.
Okay. When's the last time you had a reunion with some of your castmates?
We had a reunion in let me see now. When did this pandemic hit? It hit
Last year, March.
March? Okay. In February of last year, the beginning of February, we all got together in Hollywood at this book sign, at a Hollywood signing. We were all there. We signed. That was the last time we saw Janae. She was there, and it was so beautiful because the audience hadn't seen her in a while, and I convinced her to come out and do her pictures and things like that. And she came out, and and some men were walking past her, and they said, "Man, you still beautiful." And I loved that for her. She was still beautiful, And that was the last time I saw her. A week later, she passed away. It was really funny because when she came to upstairs to sit next to me for the book signing that morning, she said, this was the second morning. She said, I couldn't sleep last night. I said, "Why?" She said, "I don't know, but I just couldn't sleep." And I wonder if something was going on then, because it was a week later when she passed.
Okay. So what is your fondest memory of SRO, of all your castmates? Like, what is that one memory where you like, it's like a hug. It's like it's always there no matter what.
Okay. With Esther Roll, I have so many memories of her because I used to go to her house after work because I didn't want to go to my house and nobody there. And so I would say, Mom, what you cooking? I want to, can you cook for me? She was like, I'm not cooking for you. Go home. And I'd say, my home is your home. I'll be right there. So she would drive me. And, of course, I didn't have a car then at the time. And I would always go to her house. Then when I had the car, I would come over to her house. So she just got used to me being there, and I used to just talk to her till it got late. And then I went home, that kind of thing. 'Cause I didn't want to be by myself. And so she tolerated me. So that's how I used to be with her. She was like my Hollywood mom. And we had lots of fun. She was a funny woman. She would tease. She used to tease me all the time. And then with John was like a matter of fact person, and like he would tell you things that would help you. Like when I first got on the job, he would say, I want you to look and learn. You don't, because you're a rookie, you don't know a lot. So when they ask you questions, don't trap yourself and stuff. Just say you don't know and just look and learn the business. So he taught me that. Ralph was just a star. So, I mean, he was younger. So, but he loved me. He always felt like he was my older brother. I'm like, you're younger than me. Anyway, now with Jimmy and I had a wonderful relationship because we would fight all the time, on the show. But, it was funny. I think that when the show first started, he he met this girl and he said, I don't know what I should do. What should I get her? I don't know what to do. I said, what you mean you don't know what to do? I'm thinking like he's like 16, 17, because he looked it, but he was older. So I said, well, on lunchtime, why don't you just go over to Farmer's Market and get her a gift? I said, ladies like gifts. They like presents. You got to give them something. Can't just, be there. Got to give them a little something. So he said, oh, okay. So he went across to Farmer's Market and got, back then, the turquoise. Remember turquoise? It was back in the 70s. And he had the silver around it. And it was this big. And I said, well, wait a minute. I said, is she a giant? I said, nobody can wear that. I said, it's too big. So he said, what you mean it's too big? So I think he thought bigger was better. But I said, baby, no. You got to go back and get her some fine jewelry, like gold with a little diamond, and some women like that. So he said, okay. So he went back. He got this cute little, I think it's a heart. He got a heart, diamond heart with a beautiful necklace chain to it. I said, that's what they like. And then it was so funny because a couple of years ago, we did a show together, and one of his girlfriends came, and she was the cutest little girl. And she says, and we were sitting next to each other. And she says, I really do like Jimmy. You know what? He is so sweet. Look what he got me. He bought me these. They were ruby and diamond earrings.
He played the Eddie Murphy on it, huh?
No, but what I'm saying is that he did it all. He followed that. And I think that was an endearing moment with us. And, he's like my brother. He's like my real brother.
So I always forget his real name. How was it playing different roles with Bookman?
Johnny Brown.
There you go. It always gets me.
Johnny Brown. Now, that is the most interesting man you would ever want to meet, because he has stories that go way back in Broadway with Sammy Davis Jr., with the Rat Pack. I mean, he could tell us some beautiful stories, man. And I'm like, really? And I keep saying, Johnny, write a book. You got to write a book because, people need to know these things. He has wonderful experiences. He's still alive. He's still kicking. He's still doing well. He and his wife. And I just talked to him a few months ago. And, he's just a very talented man.
Okay. Now, after Good Times was rolling and rolling, you got married. Which everybody was upset about that.
I know. But back in those days, they didn't know whether to marry the girl or the girl goes to college. I was right in the middle. I was like the beginning of that thing, because before that, women got married at 20, right?
Yeah.
And had kids, and then that was it. A lot of women, not all. My mother did go to college, but I'm just saying that. And so they didn't know whether to marry me off or to, for me to go to college or whatever. So they suggested, Esther said, I think that she should go to college. So I did go to college. And I think at the end, well, I was a little older then in the show. And then I met Keith and we got married. So I did both. I went to college and got married.
Well, didn't you get married twice? Wasn't that African? Well, no, almost got married twice to the African guy.
No, I got married once on the show. Now, eBay.
There you go.
I was all in because I was doing a protest and I was all black this and black that, and he came around and I said, yes, I'm going to go to Africa and live, and he loves me, and we're going to be, I'm going to be African. And so and so it came across where I asked him, I said, do you have any wives in Africa? Because it came up that they have some wives in Africa. I said, do you have any wives? And he said, yes, I have wives. And I said, what? And he said, no, but you would be my special one. You would be this and that. And I'm like, oh, no, wait a minute. You can't have wives. You got to have, if you love me, you got to get rid of the wives, because I wasn't going for that. I'm a girl from the projects. We don't go for that. So it's like, we could have that right there in the projects.
Like, you going to get your tires cut. Keep it up.
I don't know. We can't have this. So then he said, so all I needed to know was that he loved me and it would be only me. And I remember it was a two-parter. And then I said, eBay, do you love me? Yes, I love you, Thelma. I said, so it's only going to be me? No other wives? He said, I can't promise you that. And that was the end of him. That was the end of that.
If you could give advice.
I wasn't going off to Africa and be one of them wives. And my mama Esther is at home. My brother's at home. And I would have had a miserable time. I'm sure.
If you could give advice, something that is profound that women could hold on to and use to propel themselves forward, what would that be?
I would say never lose yourself to anyone. Not saying that you cannot compromise and be one, raising children, getting married and everything. But remember that you're two individuals. He's who he is, and you are who you are. And don't merge that way. Always stay, like if you're a dancer, you're a singer, you're into engineering, whatever you are, hold on to who you are. Respect that part of you. Because if you don't do that and you're young, you give in and you don't ever fulfill some of the things that you want to fulfill, as you get older, you become resentful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell everybody about your books. Tell them where they can find you. Let them know who BernNadette is, not just Thelma, but who BernNadette is and what she do.
All right. So now I do have the Facebook, which is, I have a blue circle on there. It's BernNadette Stanis, but it's a blue circle. Now there are other BernNadette Stanises that are not me. Okay, so that's why I said that. I have a fan page too, Thelma of Good Times. That's Facebook. Now, with my Instagram, it's Thelma of Good Times. Now, I'm on there a lot. And I do that because now I'm trying to get people to go to my YouTube. So I do things on there and ask them to follow me to YouTube so they can, what do they say? Save. They subscribe and like. So this is all new to me. I don't even know. I don't even know how it's going to turn out. But
it's going to turn out wonderful if you're doing
it. Because I would be doing some crazy stuff. And they want me to cook. They want me to cook. Thelma cook. We'll try it.
Come on. You raised two beautiful girls.
Oh, I can cook.
See?
I can cook. But we're gonna do Thelma cooking a dynamite burger.
So are you gonna throw on the bell bottoms, or are you gonna get that are you gonna get that Thelma look, or are you gonna keep?
You know what? I might for that. I might do the afro and the bell bottoms and the whole nine. Yeah, I might do that. That's a good idea.
I'm saying since it's Thelma, you know, you might as well give them that look, so you can be like, now you see Thelma doing her thing.
That's right.
BernNadette, it was such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. You had such fun questions.
You know, it's a little something, you know. I try, you know, it's just a little trying here and there, you know, a little salt, pepper, just putting it together. But I do appreciate you. I appreciate you taking your time. I know you're a very busy woman. I know it's a little early on the other side of town.
Yeah.
Because I know you're all the way on the West Coast. So I just want to say thank you. And it was such a pleasure to be able to talk to someone that I grew up with, even though I didn't grow up with, and to be able to kind of boyish man up. So I thank you.
You're welcome.
And it was such a great pleasure. Tell Kevin I said thank you. Tell the family to stay safe, stay healthy, stay blessed. And we're gonna end this, but we're gonna end it like this.
I know what you're gonna do. There you go, baby. My song. Thank you.
Well, once again, thank you. Just hold on for a second. I'm gonna end this, but just hold on for a second.
Hi, this is Shanice. Tune into the phenomenal DJ Show-Off on me-radio.com.
DJ Show-Off.
Like it.